Hi guys, it's Chris with City Your Homestead. Time for supper. So this is our last day of what Grandma cooked. And I'm doubling the recipe because I would like leftovers for my lunch tomorrow. So, we are making old-fashioned sloppy joes. So, I have 2 pounds of burger over here. And we're going to get that cooked up. Now I'm trying to use from my pantry, and which includes my freezer. All the hamburger was in there. And then it calls for a single batch, it calls for 1 small onion. So we're gonna do, and they said to chop it fine, but you know what? It'll be fine. They're not that big of pieces to begin with, so it should be fine. And so we're going to use my onion out of my freezer. And then it says a medium green pepper, chopped fine as well. So we're going to use green pepper from my freezer. I've been really liking using all this pantry stuff because it really truly does save money on my groceries. And I'm going to try to get my one video up, but it was missing pot stickers too. That was at Jack's house. I was like, why is this bill that much and I didn't get that much stuff? Well, now we know why. They actually charged me for some of Jack's stuff, and then one of my pieces was over at his house too. So if you ever get abundance, you know, of your green peppers or your onions, get those chopped up. Get them put into your freezer. Then you have them for whenever you need them, just like today. So I didn't have to do any prep. Look at that. So I am going to let this cook down a little bit, and then I'll be back and we're going to make us some sloppy joes. Alright, so I had to drain a lot of fat off of that. So anyways, now you need, and it does say great grandma's recipe, you need 2 teaspoons of sugar. I don't remember what my grandma had in it. If she had extra money, we got chips with it. If not, we just had sloppy joes. We need 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Now my mom made it with just, I didn't like, well, we ate it, but she made it with just tomato sauce, and I wasn't as big a fan of that. Then we need, it'd be 4 teaspoons, so 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of mustard. Hopefully I got enough of this thing left. There's a tablespoon. Alright, so let's put that mustard in there. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this week. I have, and last week. It's brought back a lot of memories, and good ones at that, and I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. Then since we're doubling it, we're going to add a cup of ketchup. Now if I don't use manwich, how I make mine, and maybe I'll change my mind after I eat this, is I use open pit and brown sugar if I don't use manwich. And I learned that at a restaurant I used to cook at, and I absolutely love it. It's got a little bit of a bite to it with the A1, or not the A1, but open pit. And then the brown sugar, you got a little bit of sweetness to it. And boy, is it really good. Had a really good time with my grandkids today. That was nice. I was a little bit late picking up my Sam's order for Tom's bananas and stuff, but that's alright. They didn't get too mad about it. Matter of fact, they didn't get mad about it at all. Doesn't that look beautiful? Alright, maybe at that rate, maybe there won't be anything left. Now my grandma on Sloppy Joe Day, and I was going to do it today, but since Tom's working tomorrow, I chose not to because it'd be messy for him at work. But if my grandma couldn't afford it, or they hadn't come down here to get discount day-old bread, we always had our hot dogs, we had our hamburgers, and our Sloppy Joes all on bread. And that's what I was going to do tonight. But, you know, it seeps through pretty quick on that bread. So I thought that might not be very good for Tom's lunch. But, I don't know. You guys can comment below. You know, everything that they made, unless you got a really good deal on it, was always on bread. And, you know, if you think about it, like the cheeseburgers, you know, the bread absorbed it, but it's like, sometimes there's just too much bun. Does that make sense? Like, since I grew up like that, sometimes there's just too much bun and not enough of the other stuff. And you could always tear the crust off, you know. I don't like crust on bread to this day, to be honest with you. So, make a comment below if your parents or grandparents did the same thing. And the hot dogs were fine like that. I didn't think anything of it, to be honest. I grew up that way, and it was just fine. So, Tom just tried to call in. That means he's on his second leg home from the park and ride. So that means he'll be home anytime. So, I'm going to taste it and see if I think it needs to add anything more. Oh my. Oh my gosh. That has to be the way my grandma made it. Oh my gosh, you guys. That is so much better than Manwich. Oh my gosh. So good. That really did, at that moment, it sent me right back to my grandma's house. You know, and like I can remember, you know, my grandma's house. It was the place I felt the safest in the whole world. And when you walked in, they had two front doors basically and a side door. And when you'd walk in through the kitchen, that's the one you'd use the most. And, you know, off to the left was the table that they'd have breakfast at. And the kitchen was bigger because, you know, it used to have a wood stove and everything in there, you know. And when I picture it, I can actually picture my grandpa playing, you know, solitaire at the table and with his cup of coffee. And he used to watch this thing called Tradio. And it was from Greenville. And he would write down things. And people would trade and buy and sell through the radio station. And it didn't cost anything. And I can remember my grandma standing there in her apron. And, you know, you cannot pay for those memories. You just can't. You just can't. Like, right now I can picture both of them in their recliners in the living room. And, you know, us watching Hee Haw. And my first crush actually was on, I can't even think of his name, Roy Clark. We'd watch Hee Haw and we'd watch that Bubbles one. That guy dancing, I don't remember which one that is. And my grandma used to say, well, why do you have a crush on him? And I go, he sings with his eyes closed, Grandma. And so my first crush was Roy Clark. And, you know, through these last 2 weeks, I hope that you guys had the love and the experiences with your grandparents that I had with mine. And I'm not getting teary. There's not one day that I would trade for the day that I spent with them. Not ever. And even though they were poor, and my one cousin, I end up kind of telling her off, but even though they were poor and they didn't have anything, they had something that, you guys, money can't buy. They had love and they had attention. And, you know, they would play cards with us. And my grandma used to get these big rolls from the printing company of paper when they had too much paper, and they would literally give it to her. And we could, like, draw pictures of ourselves laying down and everything because it was big rolls. Well, it wasn't big enough to do the newspaper, but it was big enough for us kids to color on and make huge pictures out of. And she had a little drawer in her china cabinet, and we had our color books and crayons in there. And just things that she made sure that we were wanted, and they were glad we were there. And I can remember being a little girl, little girl, and me and my cousin, who are just a couple months apart, we'd pull out every pot and pan. And they have pictures of us doing that. We'd pull out every pot and pan, we'd play with it, you know. And I'm telling you guys, life doesn't get better than that. It doesn't. So if you have, you know, your grandparents still, hold them close and love them. If you still have your parents, hold them close and love them. I don't have my parents. My dad died in 9 and my mom in 14. And, you know, when you lose everybody finally that, like I said yesterday, called me Chrissy and whatever, you're kind of like an orphan. You really are. You think those parents are a pain in the butt, but you know what? When they're gone, you kind of miss them. So I really, really hope this last 2 weeks brings such joy and such smiles to you guys too, that brings back those memories that sometimes we just forget. And it takes just a little bit of something to bring that back and put a smile on our faces. So I'll be back when Tom gets here and we'll do a taste test and see what he thinks. I think they're amazing. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
There's sloppy joes and chips and dip. No manwich sauce there.
No manwich?
Nope.
My bun fall apart. Oh well.
We'll put it down and eat a different one then.
I'll just eat this one.
So what do you think about that one?
Pretty good.
Do you like that mixture?
Mm-hmm. Delicious.
What do you think, Jack?
That's very good.
So you like Grandma's week? Last 2 weeks?
Oh.
Yeah.
Guys have been jealous every day that you go to work, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
You like that, don't you?
Yeah, Richard looked at me and he goes, "We got for dinner today?" And I said, "Oh, I've got chicken pot pie." He says, "What?" I go, "Yeah, homemade." He said, "Yeah, of course it's homemade," he says.
They say all the time you're spoiled, don't they?
Mm-hmm. You're spoiled.
Well, I take it they're pretty good. You're not putting it down. All right, we're going to let the hungry man eat. He's got to work tomorrow, so there will not be a breakfast tomorrow because I won't have anybody to cook for. So, no breakfast tomorrow, but I will have a prep.
On the road at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys have a blessed night. Be a blessing. And goodbye, Tom.
Goodbye, Tom.
Bye, Jack.
Bye.
You guys have a great night.